Hello guys, it's me, Greed here, and today we need to talk about this menace, Roadhog, because I've got a rework idea for him that I think will fix the character. So, to understand where Roadhog's problems are, we first need to analyze his actual cooldowns to see where the problems lie. So obviously Hog has Hook, Breather, and his ultimate Whole Hog, and due to a thing called Hero Fantasy, I won't be touching any of these things. Now, obviously, in my perfect world, I would, but I want to respect that people's opinion on a certain character can be based within Hero Fantasy, which I think is a little silly, but I understand the concept of it. If you're unaware, Hero Fantasy is basically the understanding that the general design of a character gives off a certain fantasy that people want to participate in through that character. So, for example, Roadhog's Hook is part of his hero fantasy. Genji's Dash is part of his. Sombra's Hack is part of her hero fantasy. And obviously, I'm more willing to change these things than other people are. However, for Roadhog, I wanted to give a rework that encapsulated all of the part of his kit right now, so there would be minimal changes needed in order to actually execute the rework. And it would make the character infinitely healthier to prove that even under harsh restrictions like Hero Fantasy, you can still make a well-designed character. So, we have to address the elephant in the room, which is obviously going to be Roadhog's Hook cooldown, which is a core part of his Hero Fantasy, so I won't be changing it too much. However, the ideas I have for it will drastically improve the player experience playing with it and against it. So firstly, how does it operate? You obviously just press the button, he throws out a hook, if it hits someone he pulls them towards them very quickly, and you can operate a one-shot combo on them. So I'll basically be keeping everything for Hook except its lethality. Basically, right now when you land your hook on someone, they're essentially a guaranteed kill, which I find to be relatively lame, especially coming from a tank hero. So my idea is that you would throw a hook out as you normally would, but when it hits someone, they would get wrapped up in the chains of it. So the idea of this is that you wouldn't really be able to move around that much, you'd have 20% movement speed or so on, and the Hog would be able to pull you around and drag you around, and he would have a functionality on his hook where he could pull you closer, a little bit like he can now, but a lot slower paced. This would give Hog some kind of ability to distort the enemy team's positioning, be able to pull people out of position, but without the same level of lethality as he can now. Obviously, when you get hit with the hook is going to have a base amount of health, probably around like 300 or so that you're able to break out of it yourself, or your team could break out of it for you by shooting it. And when you are hooked, you actually will have base damage resistance. This makes it so that the Hog can't just shoot you to death with right clicks while you're at the very end of his hook to kill you super quickly. The hook would be more based around pulling you out of position and hopefully dragging you closer to himself so that he can actually shoot you to death. Obviously, this would come with a damage buff so that Hog was more effective at actually killing you when he managed to close the distance. But the general idea of it is to take the lethality away from Hook and add more of a team-wide utility option to it. Now, obviously, he keeps his general playstyle. You can still go and flank with him and do stuff like that because you can still kill your target if you land a hook on them. But if you want to be more of a frontline, heavy, main tank kind of Hog, you can be, because you might hook the main tank, stopping him from throwing up his shield, and then you can drag him towards you or pull him out of position, or do what you need to do on Hog in order to give your team an advantage outside of simply one-shotting someone occasionally. Now, obviously, all the numbers that I've come up with for this are iffy at best, and that's because I have no testing environment to see what makes sense. Should the chain health be 200, 300, 250? Should the length of the chain increase or decrease? How quickly should you be able to reel someone in? What's the movement speed modifier on it? You know, is it enough lethality considering the size of Roadhog's hitbox in the player model? Does it make the most sense with how his cooldown cycle? Does he need an ammo change for it? And so on. All of these things that need to be addressed can't be, unfortunately, because I have no testing ground for it. And I'm not good enough to use the workshop in a way to try and make a prototype to see if it would work any good. So I came up with generic numbers. If you've got better numbers or better ideas, please do let me know, because well, mine are obviously spitballing, so, you know, they're not great, but it is what it is. I thought I would lay a foundation of an idea more so than exactly how it would work with the exact numbers, because that would be unfair because of the fact that I can't test it. I don't know for sure, and that's why you do test things. But anyway, that is generally how the hook would work. Let's move on to the breather next, and then we'll finish off with Whole Hog. So, my changes for Breather are actually extremely simple. In its current iteration, as you can see, when you activate Breather, you have a meter based on how much you have left, so how much you can use, and that is the amount that you will be healed for depending on how much of the resource meter you use. Now, while using it, you obviously get damage resistance, and you get an amount of healing based on the amount of resource you use. However, in older Overwatch, the way it worked is that Breather was set on a cooldown. I believe it was 8 seconds, and you got about 300 healing from it. And I think this works infinitely better as a cooldown than the current iteration of Breather. And the reason for that is, when it's based on a cooldown, there is more counterplay between the Hog and the enemy team. As the Hog player, you know, okay, I'm going to have to Breather soon. So does the enemy team. Now, the enemy team has characters with crowd control that can stop you from using your Breather. So that's going to have to make you manipulate your gameplay to play in a way that will make it so you can't be CC'd out of your Breather, which means that certain angles become inaccessible again, but then you obviously gain the knowledge that you can't be CC'd because you're already playing in a way that's going to disallow it. It adds a lot more depth to the game, and it's also just more fair, because if you make a mistake and you get cancelled out of it, you're getting punished for your mistake. Unlike current Roadhog, where, oh well, they cancelled my Breather, I guess I'll wait 1 second and then start hitting it again and getting all the damage resistance, which is a big problem for the Breather. It adds too much adaptability to his kit. It means that he can do too many things because he always has it when he needs it, unlike old Roadhog that had a superior pressure cycle because it was based on his ability to sustain himself. If you wanted to go in when you didn't have Breather up, it was absolutely an option, but you had to understand the risks that were associated with it. Now, finally on to our last topic of the video, which is Whole Hog. And Whole Hog works differently now than it did in the past, obviously. Whole Hog today is a non-committal ultimate, meaning you can activate it and start doing something like shooting with it, and then maybe you'll stop shooting, and then maybe you'll hook, and then maybe you'll Breather, and maybe you'll run away. And it's an ultimate that adds too much flexibility to his kit because it can simultaneously be used as a get off me tool, it can be used as a push someone into my team tool, it can be used as an emergency get off me tool, it can be used as a lethality tool where you kill someone, it can be used as many different ways, and because you can hook and Breather during it, you gain so many options that I don't really like with Whole Hog. Previously, in Overwatch 1, the way Whole Hog operated was it was a commitment ultimate. You pressed Q, it was on. You couldn't Breather, you couldn't hook, you couldn't stop shooting, you were stuck at your reduced movement speed, shooting continuously. It was a tool specifically made for pushing people around it, and it was better that way because he's a tank, and I think he's more interesting with lowered lethality levels and more dispersion levels because it influences the way the game is played instead of simply, the Hog has killed someone, let's run away. Now it's, oh, the Hog has Whole Hogged someone. Maybe you mess up and Whole Hog the Reinhardt into your backline and he hits a big slam. Oh, well, you've made a mistake, but there is counterplay. There is decision making for the Reinhardt that you're pushing around. There's decision making for yourself. Where are you going to push him? Whereas today, Whole Hog works like I'm going to shoot you in the face a little bit. Oh, you're too far away. I hook you. I'm going to shoot you in the face a little bit. Oh, no, I'm getting shot. I'm breathing. Oh, I'm running away. And it is boring and it is lame. Bring the commitment back to his ult. So basically, what I would do is just completely revert it back to how it was in Overwatch 1. It was a superior tool back then. If you wanted to kill someone with it, you had to set yourself up properly. You had to position well, you had to hook someone into position well, you had to activate it at the right time, and you had to know how to push them into the areas where you were able to close enough distance on them to land enough bullets to kill them. It was more skillful and more interesting for everyone involved. And it adds a deeper level of human error, which is naturally more interesting in your competitive game. When you have deeper levels of human error, when things are more complex and have more potential, it makes the game more interesting because the fact that human error is just naturally more fun. It's lame to go against something that can never be wrong, like Juno Ball or Suzu or something. There's nothing you can do about those things, they just simply happen, whereas stuff like Shatter can have human error. You can fuck it up, you can have it blocked, you can jump beforehand and fuck it up that way. You might slam into a wall or something. There is human error to it and it's more interesting. Whole Hog current iteration lacks enough human error for it to be interesting to me, so reverting it to the old Overwatch 1 style makes it infinitely superior in my opinion. So, that was my hog rework. Is it perfect? Absolutely not. Is it most of it just reverting to old stuff? Yes, it is. However, I think this idea is a superior version to Roadhog than we have currently, and it would make the game more interesting. Obviously, if you disagree, I'd love to know why you would disagree. My general idea behind this is it removes the really sharp lethality of Roadhog, which I find to be quite problematic, being the one-shot, and it adds in more disruptor playstyles where you can keep the flank hog style, you can keep the off-angle bot, or you can... You know, there's still so many ways to play it because it's about displacement. Hook the main tank out of the, you know, maybe there's a Reinhardt. You hook him out of the way. Oh, now the rest of his team is exposed. They were thinking there was a shield there, but a well-timed hook has made it so his shield is down. You've pulled him out of position, and it's fucked. But you didn't immediately annihilate the Reinhardt, which I think makes it more fun because he didn't just get a free kill, essentially, for landing one cooldown. Anyway, it's been me. It's been Greed. I love you all. Mwah. I hope you have a really good day. Also, thank you for 15k subs. That's very sweet of all of you. It means the world to me, genuinely. I love you all. I hope you have a good day. Goodbye, 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 goodbye.